Namatho Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Wednesday, the 27th of January 2021. This is Ajahn Sujan from Warapanya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So as usual, I'm here with you tonight. And yesterday I wasn't online for the talk, as I have announced that every Tuesdays there won't be any talks, but we'll have a Zoom meetings and we'll have an opportunity to question and answer on different topics related to the Buddhism. Hello Margaret, hello Pratibha, hello Anish, hello Manish, everyone, Margaret. So that's why yesterday I wasn't giving a talk and meeting with our few members who joined the Zoom after the evening chanting. So today again I will be continuing from the previous talk that I gave on a Monday night, and that is based on the discourse on a bhikkhu, a certain bhikkhu, or a certain monk, on this Samyutta nikaya. The story was that on one occasion the Buddha was sitting at the Savatthi in Jeta's grove, where the millionaire, the Jeta's grove, which was the temple offered by the Anathapindika, the millionaire, to the Buddha. And one occasion at that temple, while Buddha was residing, a certain monk visits to the Buddha, paid respect to him, sits in a right place, and asks the Buddha to give a short discourse, so that a short guidance, so that he would take that guidance and go to practice living alone, withdrawn from the community, diligently, ardently, and resolute to the practice. And here the Buddha also said that there are quite a number of people normally would come and ask for the guidance, and then having heard, thinking that they will acquire knowledge and they will acquire fruition from hearing. And this is what happened with this monk too. But however, despite of that, Buddha continued giving instructions, saying that one has to first of all practice the purity of conduct, or the purity of a virtue, which basically means the right speech, right action, and right livelihood, which means right speech here basically speaking the truth, not speaking anything which is untrue, and a right action, basically physical action that we do, not to kill or harm any beings, not taking which is not given, not having any sexual misconduct, and then right livelihood, basically living righteously and not violating any rules and regulations, and also not selling such as like the weapons and drugs and alcohols and even the human trafficking. Once a person can away from these virtue, this is called the purity of the virtue. And the second is second principle that one has to develop is called a view that is straight. So basically developing to have a wholesome state. And this right view here, again talking about in accordance with the Eightfold Noble Path, the first a factor of Eightfold Noble Path, which is Samyutta, or the right view. Or another way we can see it as a right understanding or a right attitude. So that's why, first of all, we have to have we have to purify our conduct, and then developing the right attitude. These are the two factors which is the basis for the successful practice of a mindfulness meditation. This is the two factors that one has to develop. Once a person who has purified the virtue and strengthened the view or attitude, then that person would able to practice the four foundations of a mindfulness in threefold way. Now here, the threefold way. And as we know that the establishment of a foundation, establishment of a mindfulness are body, feeling, mind, and a phenomena. And here Buddha is talking about in a threefold way. And first of all, what are the four foundations? So that is body, feeling, a mind, and a phenomena. So contemplating on the body, contemplating on the feeling, contemplating on the mind, and contemplating on the phenomena. And this is the four establishment of a mindfulness. And now here, threefold way basically means in three ways. So says here, a monk dwell contemplating the body in the body, internally, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. Dwell contemplating the body in the body externally. So early on it was internal, and now this is external. An ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. Now the third fold is dwell contemplating the body in the body, internally and externally. Ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. So, in the practice of four foundations of mindfulness, we have to look at in a three folds. When we are contemplating the body, the first instruction is that paying attention to the body with a full attention, having urgently paying attention to it, and having a clear understanding of it, and then with a mindfulness, we are simply removing a greed and a hatred in relation to our own body, our own this world. When we talk about the world, in regards to the world, it is not about the world out there. It is a world, according to the Buddha's instruction, within this fathom of this body. Within this fathom of the body. And now, here it says, having removed the covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. If a person traveling and telling everyone that we should not be greedy, we should not be having having this hatred, it will be very, very difficult to convince. Doesn't matter how much you will produce the leaflets and the adverts, whether on Facebook, whether on any social medias, on YouTubes, everywhere. And still, it would be very, very difficult to remove this covetousness and displeasure, or basically greed and hatred, the mind state of a greed and hatred out of their minds and hearts. So that's why it will be very, very tiring job for each and individual who is thinking that I am going to remove all the greeds and all the hatreds that prevail in the world, which is causing a conflict and disaster. Unlikely that we would be able to clean it. So that's why. And then similarly, it's like I have heard the story in this Chinese empress thought that the whole world is so dirty and rubbles, it's difficult to walk around. So I will cover the whole world with the leather. Yeah? And it would be very difficult for her to cover the whole world with the leather in a few different ways. It would be very difficult to get the leather, and then and also it would not be possible to cover all the earth. The advice would be cover your own feet, so that wherever you walk, then you would not be suffered by the rubbles or any. Similarly here, having removed the covetousness and displeasure basically means removing from our own hearts and minds. We are responsible of our own karma. We are responsible of our own action, not anybody else. No one can take any responsibilities on our action. So that's why we have the power to take control of our actions, and our greed and hatred we alone can remove from ourselves, from our own minds and heart. No one can remove it. So that's why here, after contemplating on the body, one would be able to get rid of greed and hatred from mind and heart within this fathom of the body, so-called world. And this is the first one. The second one, saying that contemplating in the body internally. Yeah? And here, this internal and external, there are so many different opinions you could find. From the commentaries, internal means own body, external means other's body. And meanwhile, there are different meditation masters who would say that internal means the five aggregate, which is the matter, feeling, perception, formation, and consciousness. This is internal, and external is basically, then we can see this flesh, the flesh body, or a combination of the four elements that this body been created. Or basically the conventional reality is known as external. Similarly, again, further on, the entire body is internal, and then the breath body is the external, like that. So there are different opinions on that, and it based on which one you will prefer. And it also suggests that we do not know clearly what does this internal, external means. But from the commentary and from the different meditation masters, we can take it as guidelines that when we are contemplating on ourselves, we also have to contemplate about others. Basically, a practice of a meditation, pretty much people think that withdrawing from the society and the community, and basically like living a secluded secluded like that. And meanwhile, there are people saying that I am a good meditator. They are not, and basically looking down on someone who is not practicing, and that is not the right attitude. According to this internal and external contemplating body defines from the commentaries that when we understand ourselves, we also have to link others, surrounding people, or basically other people, and contemplating on others' body as well. Okay, so basically when we understand ourselves, basically it helps us to understand others, that we are all similar, no difference. Normally, as a worldling and as a person who hasn't attained at least of a sotapanna, normally we would have this concept of I, me, mine, and we always look at things through our views or our culture, nationality, and tradition, ethnicity, like that. So we will be taking everything under our radar, that I am this country, I belong to this ethnicity, I am this religion, I believe this religion, I live in this part, so on. So we will be looking in that perspective, and we are channeling only for ourselves and disregards others. Whereas practice of a meditation, or a mindfulness meditation, is basically not only you understand yourself, but also we have to understand others as equal. I breathe in, they breathe too. I suffer, they suffer too. So with that, we basically removing this greed and hatred from in regards to the world. Okay? And that is the beauty of a practice of a mindfulness meditation. The more you practice, the better you will become a person with a humble, a person with a harmony and peace, ability to accept others as they are, respecting the way they are, rather than judging from our own perspectives, based on age, based on ethnicity, nationality, religion, and so on, which is again the main problem that we are facing nowadays. That we are creating boundaries after boundaries, that I am belong to this ethnicity, I am belong to this religion, I am from this nation, I believe in this religion, and you are different, like that. But the practice of a meditation is actually you are connecting them, understanding them, relating them internally and externally. So this is the second strand, second factor, is saying one dwells contemplating in the body externally. So we look at ourselves and then look at the others, mentally looking at others and understanding their appearance. And then the third one, dwell contemplating the body in the body internally and externally, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed the covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. Okay, and here again we see that it is talking about basically understanding the breath body, and here saying at one time in his own and another in others' respiration of the body, he dwells contemplating the body. So reference is that a meditation, a practitioner should contemplate your own breath, and as I take a breathe in and breathe out, so others take in that way too. And this is again, it's the breath itself is a 4 elements. So understanding that we're connecting one and another. people in the same time. As I breathe in, they also breathe in. So we contemplate on that. Yeah? And we just reverse, going forward and backward like that. And this is how it's called contemplating on internally and externally both together. Sometimes we may think that only contemplating on ourselves is good enough and we have to liberate ourselves is good enough. But in fact, from this sutta or this discourse, the guidance appears that we have to contemplate on others as well. Only then we will be able to understand fully ourselves. And again, not only contemplating ourselves and others separately, but meanwhile we are contemplating both at the same time, like one part, like everyone is having the four elements to breathe in and breathe out, and he or she is breathing in and breathing out as a four element. So I am. Okay? So like that. So we have basically developing this harmony within ourselves and understanding this so clearly, and with that there will be no greed and there will be no hatred. We become a one. When we are thinking of two separate people, separate groups, separate things, then conflict begins. But here is basically we are practicing to be similar. Everyone is the same. And with that, there won't be any greed, there won't be any hatred. Greed simply arises because we want to have something that someone has. That's why I call it covetousness. Covet. Yeah? And displeasure is a hate towards somebody else. And we will be able to overcome that hate and that greed. And similarly, it goes on saying dwelling, contemplating, feeling in a feeling internally, externally, internally and externally, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. So that's again about the feelings. We have a pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. So other people also experience similarly too. When somebody hits us, it hurts us. We feel hurt. And that's similar that when we hit others, they also feel the feeling of hurt. Yeah, like that. And we all want to have a happiness regardless of what. So that we will be relating to one another, and with that we will understand the true meaning of feelings, and with that feeling we will be able to overcome our greed and hatred. And the third one again says, dwell contemplating mind in the mind internally, externally, internally and externally, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. So here again about the mind. The state of the mind also similar to one another. Some times ago I was asked that during the time of the Buddha, people become arhat or noble ones so easily and liberated so easily. How on earth at this time or in our age people liberate very little? And that's again simply because those days again their mindset were different, and this time of a mindset also different. And doesn't matter during the time of the Buddha or even now, we all have a similar mindset. That's greed, hate and ignorance, regardless of which era we are in. But those days again during the time of the Buddha, not everyone liberated. Although we hear only liberated examples in the scripture, that doesn't mean that only those people exist those days. Even in scripture we can see that Buddha normally gives hundreds or thousands of people, give a talk for the hundreds and thousands of people, and among them only handful of people understood the teachings and liberated. So nowadays, again, similar way, but we don't have someone who has got this power to convince us so that we can eliminate our greed, hatred, and delusion and liberate in instantly as it happened during the time of the Buddha. But our mindsets are still the same, regardless of from where we are from, Asia, America, Europe, Australia, whichever continents are we from. We all have the same mindset, that is greed, hatred, and delusion. And once we understood our own mindset, again, we also have to channel and link and tune in with others and thinking and understanding that they also have similar mindset too. And with that, we will be able to remove the covetousness and displeasure from our minds and heart. And the last one is dwell, contemplating phenomena in the phenomena, internally, externally, internally and externally, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regards to the world. And this is like the ultimate sense of the human beings. Every one of us has got the same phenomena. The nature is such that we all have to get sick, get old, get died. Yeah? And before that, we are all subject to sickness, old age, and which is regardless whether we like it or not. We all have to face it, and then we are all subject to change, whether we like it or not. And the matter is, once we have understood this subject of a change, in every levels, we will be able to overcome this covetousness and displeasure. So that's why not only looking at ourselves, but also we have to look at others, other people as well. And further on, Buddha says that when a monk based upon virtue, established upon virtue, you develop these for establishment of a mindfulness, thus in a threefold way, then whether night or a day comes, you may expect only growth in wholesome state, not decline. So Buddha simply summons or conclude here saying that a person who is practicing in accordance with the right virtue and have a right understanding, with having these two factors of wholesome mental state and practicing in accordance with the four foundations of a mindfulness in these threefold way, which is internal, external, and both internal and external, then that person will, whenever the person is practicing in accordance with this technique, one would only expect the growth in the mental state, not decline. So the story goes on that this monk goes on, practice diligently, secluded, and at the end he was able to overcome this greed and hatred, covetousness and displeasure, and he himself directs saying that destroyed is birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done, there is no more for the state of a being, so that this monk becomes an arahat. So that's why we have to practice in this way in order to achieve the liberation. Thank you very much. I end here for tonight. May you all be well and happy. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. In a few moments' time, we're going to have evening chanting and guided meditation. You are most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night and see you shortly. Thank you. Sadhu.